Welcome back, everybody, for another AoE4 Civilization rundown overview thingy. We're in the home stretch now, guys. Last three civilizations. These are three quite interesting ones, but of course, just to remind everybody, in case you are unfamiliar, in Age of Empires 4, we have 8 civilizations at launch, all of which are pretty darn different from one another when it comes to mechanics, unique units, bonuses, just how they play in general. So I'm just making these quick little rundown videos, just going over their tech trees and all of that stuff, units, how they generally are going to be playing out, their landmarks, that sort of thing. Just as, because, we're right near the game's launch, and I think it will be helpful for people when determining what they want to be doing when an AoE4 game, and there are 8 different civilizations. Anyway, we are going to be moving on to the Rus. Okay, so here we have the Rus, or the Slavs, as you would call them in AoE2, of course, representing the various Eastern Slavic peoples of what are modern-day Russia and Ukraine and Belarus and all that stuff. And they are, according to the game, lasting from 882 to 1547, which makes plenty of sense, because 882 is the beginning of the Kievan Rus, the beginning of the Rus themselves. And then 1547 is when Ivan the Terrible, succeeds the throne and establishes, the Tsardom of Russia. He becomes the first Tsar. So here we have the, the princes of Kiev and Novgorod and Pskov and all that stuff. So that is the Rus. Idea-wise, in-game they're listed as a 2-star difficulty or medium-moderate difficulty civilization. I think that checks out, that's fine. And the game says they focus on conquest, expansion, and trade. I have no idea what the heck any of these things mean. Okay, well, trade makes sense, although in this instance, there are actually civs that have way stronger trade bonuses, so I'm not too sure on that. Conquest and expansion, I don't know what that actually means. Like, they're just such nebulous words in an Age of Empires setting. Yeah, I don't know. But they are an incredibly powerful civilization. If you saw my day 1 tier list video, I actually had the Rus as the very best civilization in the game by a very small margin. And I do think they're really, really strong. So let's see why exactly I think that. So the Rus are a really flexible civilization and can be used on pretty much any sort of map type. But before I sort of dive into the bonuses or unique units or anything like that, I'm going to talk about sort of their main mechanic, which is the bounty system. So on your screen, I'm going to show the little table or whatever that's displayed in-game when you are playing as the Rus, and you will see here that you have your economic bonus bounty system. Hunting animals as the Rus earns a bounty of gold. Reaching certain thresholds of total bounty provides economic bonuses. So, and you can see those values at the bottom. Sheep give you +5, deer +10, wolf +25, and boar +75. And these numbers, they represent 2 things. One, just gold, like straight up gold. When you kill an animal as Rus, you get gold. So you kill a sheep, you get 5 gold, a deer 10 gold, and so on. And also, as you can see with the whole tier thing, you'll be working towards your bounty thresholds. And at 100, bounty, I guess, you'll get 5% villager food rate, and then 10, and then 15. And then you'll be getting faster gold generation from your hunting cabins, which I will get to in a little bit. But the main point of this is that, 1, this is a very strong bonus for early game, because it's helping your food income on the one hand, and your gold income on the other, which is just, those are the resources you need to get some sort of early military going. And it's so easy to accumulate high numbers of bounty, because in Age of Empires 4, animals, you can hunt them with your scouts, and they don't deteriorate, like their food doesn't deteriorate, so there is nothing stopping you from just going out on the map with your scout and just killing all the animals you find. PETA won't be too happy, but your stockpile will. So there is no reason that you should have anything less than your tier 2 bounty bonus by early feudal age, kind of, and then usually by the end of feudal age, you've probably found all the hunt you need to get your tier 3 thing. Also, in team games, there are more animals relative to, the player size. So, it's almost impossible to stop a Rus player from getting, their tier 3 bounty pretty darn early on. which can just give you a lot of gold, and then of course it increases that food income for you as well. But again, there is no animal decay, so even if you go and kill all of your enemies' deer, like, the food doesn't decay over time like it does in AoE2, so that's not anything you have to worry about one way or the other, but it is still just a very important aspect of the ruse that you should really know before we sort of get into anything else with the civilization. Alright, with that in mind, let's go to the civ bonuses. Yeah, I already talked about generating gold and increasing bounty when killing animals. And, yeah, I'll talk about that as well. Early night available in the feudal age. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. So Rus, alongside French, are the only civ that can field knights in feudal age. Now, their knights aren't a unique unit, they're just called early knights, but they're still, like, they're essentially the same as the French knights, which is why I actually think that they are overall maybe a little bit more difficult to play than French, but are possibly even, like, with a higher, you know, ceiling in terms of how good they can be, because you have that super strong bonus to, you get the early food bonus, and then you also get the gold from your early hunt, so you can get a really deadly night rush, and as I'll get to later, you do have some bonuses for your cavalry on top of that as the game goes on. Your cavalry isn't as good as French, but it's probably, like, you know, second best. So here we have stronger palisades with twice as much health. So as Rus, you cannot build stone walls, but of course you can build your palisades, which are twice as strong. Considering that stone walls, yeah, they're really good, and the ability that you have to just camp units on top of them is really powerful, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like an AoE2 where, like, Goths missing, you know, very strong defenses at all is just, like, a huge issue for them. I mean, you have strong palisades, so you can defend yourself early on, and as Rus, you tend to be the more aggressive player anyway, and your army will certainly compensate for any sort of, you know, weakness you have defensively. And like I said, it's really only like a mid to late game-ish sort of defensive weakness, and Rus are not going to be the civ that's just going to, like, hold a specific area the best, but they are still going to be pretty good. Although maybe they're not going to be the best civ for something like King of the Hill, or whatever the one with all the golden stone in the middle is. Next we have construct hunting cabins, improved mills that produce scouts and generate gold from nearby forests. So yes, you have your hunting cabin here. They cost 100 wood, so they are more expensive than a mill. However, in addition to, you know, you can drop off food here and you can research your relevant mill upgrades, you can produce scouts. Now, this is a really important, I guess, part of the Rus early game, because what I've seen from the high-level players so far is that you make 2 additional scouts for 3 scouts total, and that's going to be what you can use to go out, take all of the hunt, and then also harass enemy villagers. But you don't need to sacrifice town center time to make these guys, which is pretty handy. The only other civ that can do that is Mongols, because they can build the stables in Dark Age, and they can make scouts from their stable. But beyond that, it generates gold based on the number of nearby trees. To be entirely honest, guys, I don't really understand how this works. Again, there's no scenario editor in this game, or genie editor, so there isn't really a good way for me to test this. If you guys, like, know exactly how this works, please let myself and everyone else know in the comments. All I understand is you put this guy near a bunch of trees and it'll generate more gold for you, and don't stack them on top of each other because then it won't be as good. So scattering these around is going to be pretty darn helpful, and in the early game, it's not at all uncommon to see a Rus player drop a hunting cabin instead of a mill. Well, duh. Of course, they can't make it regular mills. Drop a hunting cabin on the wood rather than like on the forage bushes or something like that, so you can make those scouts and start generating a little bit of extra gold. Next, we have construct wooden fortresses, improved outposts with additional health and garrison slots. Of course, if this civ didn't have enough early game bonuses and eco bonuses. We have the wooden fortress here, which is 175 wood, which is indeed more expensive than a regular outpost, but they are stronger, and it also goes to their influence system, which lumber camps built within the influence of a wooden fortress will return 20% more wood. So essentially, you'll get 12 wood instead of 10 wood. So you get a wood bonus, a food bonus, and a gold bonus early on, which is pretty darn sick. But yeah, placing one of these near your lumber camps is going to be really helpful, not in just in terms of improving your wood income, but of course they are a defensive structure, and you can garrison villagers there that are chopping trees, and then just make them that much more safe to raids early on. So you can just see how many different early game bonuses Rus have. Finally, for their civ bonuses, fishing ships don't have to return to a dock to drop off food. Now, Rus are an interesting civ on water. French might be the default, oh, they're the insta-win water civ, and that might be so, but if there is a civ that can compete with French, it is going to be Rus, and I'll get more to this in a second, but not having to return to the dock means that you can just go all around the map, fish to your heart's content, and don't have to worry about long distances of sailing back and forth. Alright, moving on to the unique units now. There's actually 4 of them, with the Rus. One of them isn't listed for some reason, but start with the big bad boy, the Streltsy, which can be produced at the archery range in the Imperial Age. Here we are. They are 90 food and 90 gold, and you use them instead of hand cannons. And they are the most powerful ranged infantry with reasonable melee capabilities, increased fire rate when stationary. This isn't, I guess, that clearly worded, but essentially what you have with this unit is, I'll put the stats up on screen, they already have really strong stats. But on top of that, they have like 3 tiers of like standing increasing damage. I think with every few seconds, you'll get a 10% boost to your fire rate and plus 3 attack, so that at your maximum stacks of your stationariness, you'll get plus 9 attack and plus 30% fire rate. Now, because that is, like, insanely strong, and also their damage is really good, these are, like, one of the best units in late game. And one of the reasons that I think Rus actually do outclass French a little bit is that their late game is just amazing, and a lot of that is thanks to this Streltsy, because these guys probably have the highest DPS of almost any unit in the game. Anyway, their next unique unit here is also at the archery range, and for some reason isn't listed. But that is going to be the Horse Archer. Yes, the Horse Archer or Cavalry Archer, is actually a unique unit to the Rus. It doesn't really seem like it because they have a generic sounding name and it doesn't list them as a unique unit, but no other civ has a Horse Archer. Mongols have Mangudai and Abbasids have Camel Archers, and those are both unique units, but this for some reason is not a unique unit. But as you can see, they cost 80 food and 40 gold, so they are more, or 40 wood rather, not gold. 80 food, 40 wood, as opposed to the 30 food, 50 wood of an archer. But of course, and you have to make them in Castle Age, but kind of just like in AoE2, they're a unit that, in low numbers, are going to be fairly weak, but once you get a huge mass of them, they're going to run around and they're just going to kill everything, and they are so powerful as the game goes on, and can just be a fantastic, just sort of trash unit complement to your army. Notably, though, they are still weak to ranged units, especially in lower numbers, so they do have that similar weakness to the Mangudai, but they also have some extra bonuses to help them out as well, which I'll get to later. Alright, so the next unique unit of the Rus is the Warrior Monk, and it is indeed the replacement to the, regular monk. And it's a monk, it's not great in combat, the stats of course will be on the screen. As you can see, its attack isn't great, but it's not useless, and what you want with these guys is you kind of just want to bop an enemy once, and that will give the Saint's Blessing bonus to your nearby units, and that's going to increase their attack and armor. Having one of these in your army, in later stages in the game, it can just sort of tip the scales of an already good fight, because your late game is really sick, to even more so in your favor. Just getting that extra attack and armor is just, it's really good, right? It's kind of obvious. But of course, beyond all of that, they do have all of the abilities of a regular monk. They can pick up relics, they can capture holy sites, and just being a bit faster, in fact a lot faster than regular monks, is just a nice little bonus as far as that goes. But of course, on the flip side, they are much more expensive. Last for their unique units, we will go to the dock, where the Rus dock is kind of just a little bit different. So, Rus are not like any other civ on water. They're really bad in late game. In fact, they're really bad after like early game. But it all sort of revolves around the Lodia ship, which is their, unique unit ship thing. And it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife ship. What you do is you can build any of the Lodia ships, and it'll be that unit, but then you can switch it to be any other type of ship. For a cost, and it takes 20 seconds to switch from one kind of ship to the other. And also, like if you build it as a fishing boat for 60 wood, to switch it to a Lodia attack ship, it will cost you 60 wood and 60 gold. So, you'll have to add in the cost of the new ship. And if you're changing it to a cheaper ship, it just is a flat 25 wood, it seems. So there is some really nice utility, but you miss hulks, you miss cannon galleons, you do have demo ships, I guess, but yeah, Rus Navy is not good as the game goes on. It's really all about early game, but here's the thing, and this is why Rus can compete with French on water. what you can do, you make fishing boats in Dark Age, you sail them across the map, you hit Feudal Age, and you just upgrade them all to attack ships. And then you can get like 6-ish Lodiya attack ships before, the French guy gets like 1 Hulk out. And I've seen this work. I have seen the French player able to like, stave this off, and after like the early defense French just sort of like win from there. But at least this is the closest civ to some way of dealing with French that we have on water maps in AoE4 right now. Anyway, those are the Rus unique units. You can see there's a lot of variety here, actually, and an interesting focus on cavalry and archers. Like AoE2 Slavs have really bad archers, but AoE4 Rus, they've got a really strong archer lineup. On top of their strong cavalry, they have good monks. As we'll see, they have good siege later, and really the only thing that's generic for them is their infantry. But that is, that's it, and that's usually not the biggest deal in the world. Anyway, let's now go on to their unique techs, shall we? So jumping back to the dock right here, we will go to their naval unique techs, which are Clinker Construction, which increases the health of your Lodiya attack ships by a decent amount. It doesn't matter because you'll have either won the game or lost the game at that point. And then you can do it even more with Cedar Hulls, which increases their attack ship HP and armor even more. But again, like I said, you'll have either won or lost the game at that point, so who cares? Their wooden fortresses have some unique, techs, boosts. You can add arrow slits and spring galls like you can with outposts, but even starting from the beginning of the game, you can increase the damage of arrows fired from this wooden fortress by +2 with Castle Turret, which obviously, like if you garrison your villagers in, and of course that extra damage will help kill any sort of early raiders. And then this one is going to increase the vision of the thingy, the wooden fortress. Yeah, kind of expensive to be honest, but it's at least there for you. Moving on to their archery range. The Rus have, in the Imperial Age, Mounted Precision. Increase the weapon range of horse archers by +2. So, of course, one of the biggest weaknesses of cav archers is that they have a short range compared to foot archers, but with this tech, you are going to be much more competitive. Yeah, obviously, it's just really strong, especially in late game. Makes the sort of death ball of this unit a lot more powerful. Anyway, we have Double Time as the other one, which the Streltsy gain the Double Time ability, which increases their movement speed by 30% and speeds up their static deployment time by 50% by 10 seconds. Or for 10 seconds. So it's an activated ability, which means that you can get to that super powerful maximum damage and attack rate bonus with the unit. But yeah, it's like Rus have like low-key one of the best archery ranges in the game. It's pretty funny. Of course, we cannot forget their stable with their early night potential, as a night rush is probably going to be your best opening with the civilization in a lot of situations. But we have Boyar's Fortitude in the Castle Age, increases the health of all of your cavalry by +10, and that will include your scouts, horsemen, and knights. So more health is good, yeah. And then in the Imperial Age, we have Night Sabers, not lightsabers, Night Sabers. But they will increase the melee damage of your knights by +4. So again, just 2 nice little boosts to your cavalry throughout the mid and late game. You're not as good as French when it comes to your cavalry, but you're still way up there in terms of having some of the most powerful cavalry units or at least knights in the entire game. So certainly not a stable to sleep on, so to say. At the monastery, we have Blessing Duration, which get this, increases the duration of the Saint's Blessing, which is your attack and armor buff from the warrior monks. And those are the sort of generic unique techs. There's a few more that I'll get to later with their landmarks, but you can see, again, we're looking at a very nice variety of bonuses to, you have the strong eco, you have the water early game that's good, you have a good early game defenses, cavalry archers, cav archers, all that stuff, monks. So let's see what their landmarks have going for you. In the Feudal Age, we have the Kremlin, which acts as a wooden fortress that comes with arrow slits, castle turret, and castle watch technologies. So you've got these guys for you, right away. And this is just a nice little defensive boost if you feel like you're going to be under attack. Considering that Rus are going to be the more aggressive civilization in most circumstances, maybe only versus like the Mongols, do I really see this being your best bet? Because the other option, the Golden Gate, it's an interesting one. It allows exchange of resources at a favorable rate, like very favorable. Like sell 100 gold and get 150 food, like that level of good. But you have like a certain number of exchanges you can do at the Golden Gate before you need to wait for it to sort of, recharge. This is really helpful in early game. You can use it to get another town center very easily, because you just need to buy stone twice. to get enough stone for another TC, because you get 150 stone per buy, so 300 stone for town center. Yeah. In Castle Age, we have the High Trade House as another economic landmark, and just, you know, increased value from the gold generation. So build this next to trees, I guess, and it'll give you more gold. That's always good. It'll spawn deer occasionally, so in case you are unable to, I guess, get the bounty bonus at that point, you'll still be able to get deer constantly throughout the game, so you'll sort of have a guarantee that you'll get to that final tier eventually, but usually that's not much of an issue. But still, going to be a nice boost to your economy. Then we have the Abbey of the Trinity, which is a religious landmark, acts as a monastery, can produce warrior monks at half the cost, and contains unique religious technologies. This is part of what I was talking about earlier. Only at this building, only at this landmark, can you get the improved blessing, which improves your damage, and then Saint's Reach, which improves the range of the Saint's blessing. So if you're looking to go for making warrior monks a big part of your strategy, I guess, then it's definitely worth going for this thing. If not, if you're going for like anything else, definitely go for the High Trade House, because it's going to just boost your economy in general. And then as we get to the Imperial Age, we have the Spasskaya Tower, and that's a defensive landmark with all of the weapon emplacements in place and increased health. It's like, you know, it's a big keep. That's good. So if you're getting pushed at that point, this can help you stay alive, which, you know, late game, your defenses as Rus are not very good, so this can be something to sort of keep you alive if need be. Of course, what I find the most interesting is the High Armory with Rus, which decreases the cost of siege weapons at nearby siege workshops by minus 20%, and it contains unique siege engine technologies. So we got 4 more unique techs just for your siege at this building, which is pretty cool because it sort of completes your puzzle, so to say, in late game when it comes to getting, you have good archers, cavalry, and now you're going to also have good siege with this one. So Wandering Town, increase the damage from rams by 100%. Yeah, that's good. Siege crew training, setup and tear down speed of trebuchets and mangonels is instant. Also quite nice. Fine-tuned guns reduce the reload time of bombards by 25%. Again, that's good. And then banded arms increase the range of springald's by 1.5 tiles. So you actually can get the longest range springald's in the entire game, and considering that springald's are already really insane, and can snipe like all siege units, this just makes them even better. So I'm definitely a really big fan of the High Armory in late game, just because it rounds out your army composition so well, as siege is just so good in late game in AoE4. And then finally, we have the Cathedral of the Tsar as your wonder. So yeah, guys, that is the Rus. You can just see why I think the civilization is the best in AoE4. It just has so much going for it at like all stages in the game. They're only weak when it comes to like water after early game, but usually the game is won or lost at that point. And then like defensively, as the game goes on, they're kind of weak, and then their infantry isn't the greatest, but like everything else is amazing. Their eco is fantastic throughout the game, because remember, your bounty, it stays in effect throughout the entire game, so you're getting like that 15% food increase throughout the entire game, which is really, really nice. And they just feel so flexible in what they can go for. Having the option to go for the Night Rush, plus the boom play with the Golden Gate, plus the Cav Archers in mid-game, Knights, all that stuff. Your Warrior Monks can be nice for securing relics early on. Yeah, it's just such a flexible civilization. I do enjoy playing them, and definitely would recommend them to anybody who's looking for something that's strong and also engaging to play. Personally, I find them a more interesting civ than French, but they do have a bit of a steeper learning curve. So that's the Rus, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. And of course, I will see you guys next time.